No One Likes Us Clothing is the clothing range designed by Millwall fans for Millwall fans. Caps, t-shirts, polos, they've got it all. Visit noonelikesus.co.uk for the full range. Or if you're in Bermondsey on a match day, why not have a pint in the Blue Anchor pub and pick up a Nolu polo shirt, Nolu clothing at www.noonelikesus.co.uk.
You're listening to AchtungMillwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Bermondsey. Accept no substitute.
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to our regular Friday show. Something for the weekend, sir, but today it's something for Friday night, sir, because we have a fixture at Norwich tomorrow night on Sky Television. Joining me to review what's been quite a remarkable week for Millwall is our regular co-host of the show, Mr. Neil Fissler. Welcome to the show, Neil.
Hello, Nick. How you going? Good whenever, everybody.
Good morning, evening, afternoon, night, whatever you want. Wherever you're listening to in the world. It's a global operation.
Good idea, didn't we? Because we're playing tomorrow night, and otherwise half of what we talk about will probably be quite useless by this time tomorrow.
I want to open up, if I may, the sad news, Neil, this week of the passing of a Millwall legend. I think we've used that word a few times, and I think given the contribution that Bob Pearson has made to our club, I think that tag is appropriate for him. He passed away this week, very, very sadly. Massive figure in Millwall history.
He was an absolute colossus in Millwall history. Doesn't get the credit from the wider public that he actually deserves. His contribution to Millwall and to the play, and to particularly the younger players that he brought through, is immeasurable. We speak on our history podcasts about Bob Hunter, and but when you talk about Bob Hunter, I think you've got to mention Bob Pearson in the same, if not in more hushed tones than you do Bob Hunter, because without Bob Pearson, I don't think the club, we certainly wouldn't have won the Youth Cup a couple of times, would we? Because I think he discovered most of those. He
discovered most Millwall players of the last. He arrived at the club in the late 70s, didn't he? I think he worked in the youth side initially, and then progressed on to more general scouting, chief scout, I think, in time. And as you say, I mean, for a club of our size and financial resources to win the FA Youth Cup, I think the second one, was that not beating Manchester City in the final? We beat Manchester United previously. I can't remember
We beat Man City in the first one.
Man City in the first one. I mean, these are much bigger names, and for us to pull off that twice over is a tribute to the talent, the sheer talent of the players that Bob unearthed. He was a scout of the old school, Neil, wasn't he? It's funny because you and me often poke fun at the statistics-based generations that we now live in, the expected goals and all those kinds of things. But Bob was your old school scout based on feel and instinct and kind of sixth sense on a player.
Yeah, I think he used to discover like all old school scouts. They would discover these people, and then they'd gently cajole the father into allowing them to sign on the dotted line. Discovered two of our best goal scorers in history. Certainly discovered Teddy Sheringham playing in a youth match when Millwall took a team down to Leytonstone and Ilford, or Leytonstone, whatever the guys was at the time. And a certain Mr. Harris, I believe he
was involved in the signing. So there's how many? There's about 250 goals-ish between those two players alone at second, third and top tier in Teddy's case. I mean, I tried to pick out some of the players. I mean, there's loads, listeners. I mean, younger listeners probably won't appreciate the sheer impact that Bob Pearson had on our club, because he was a backroom figure. He really did shun the the limelight. He had no public persona, Neil, really, did he? I mean, all through the 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, you're aware that Bob Pearson I think he was in the program, named in the program, but you wouldn't have said, unless you're involved or knew people on the inside of the club. He had no kind of public kind of, projection of his personality, as they never used to in those times.
Them and not known him, to be quite honest. Uncle Bob, as I think everybody, as certainly all the players knew him as Uncle Bob.
Yeah.
I know that there's certain uncles that you like to avoid.
Or some that are the opposite. I mean, there was a lovely tribute from Theo Pathetis on Twitter with his own words, which I thought I'd take the liberty of just reading out because I think they probably sum up the feelings of many, many players. I've seen tributes to Bob from Tim Cahill, Paul Robinson I saw earlier on. Richard Sadley has mentioned him. Keith Stevens, I know, was another find. So, I mean, these names go on, but this tribute from Theo, I think, just captures it. So Theo's saying, following the sad news about the passing of Bob Pearson, the Mill backroom legend, my friend and football mentor, I've shared a few words below, sending love to the family. And Theo says here, I rehired Bob in my first week as chairman of Mill FC. So you're going back to 1997, I think, when Theo joined us. And for me, he's a Mill backroom legend. Not only was he chief scout during my time, but also my mentor when it came to players. He was an exceptional man with an exceptional football eye. We could never have reached our achievements without him. The club and I owe him a great debt, and he'll be forever in my thoughts and have a place in my heart. Rest in peace. I mean, those are really nice words, I think, Neil, and it does give some measure of the man, because you think of the championship winning side in 2000, 2001, that was under Theo, where the club had come back from the brink of extinction, let's be honest, and to find and assemble players of the caliber of Cahill, Harris, and then take us onwards through the brink of playoffs to the top flight, and then onto the cup final, all with the elements that Bob put together. So massive figure in club history, and I hope that the club in some way mark his contribution. I don't know how, or whether they'll name some part of the ground after him, but something like that seems appropriate to me. I don't know if you'd agree with that.
I kind of agree with it, but I also think it should have been done a long time ago.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, you should be doing it a long time ago. I don't buy into this modern fad of when somebody dies, all of a sudden everything goes into meltdown and you suddenly remember the contribution and start naming things after someone.
True.
I think if you're going to do this kind of thing, I'd much prefer it earlier rather than as a tribute, because those achievements have always been there.
Yes, they have. I suppose
it's a modern quirk about football that I don't really buy into, because, as I said, those achievements have always been there, and they should have been honoured a lot sooner.
I suppose this is the downfall of every funeral. I mean, we've only just had Phil Walker, and I think his family were, in Phil's case, astounded at the amount of, let's use the word love. It can be a bit overplayed, but I think that's the level of affection and good memories. Same now with Bob Pearson. You only find this out when the person concerned has passed away. And I often think at funerals, more generally, and it'd be nice if you can, as you've just said, I think, if you could be finding this out whilst you're still alive, might be quite nice. But it don't work that way. But there we are. We'll see on that score. I think it's. I think it would be a nice touch by the club. I'm not going to speculate whether they will or won't do it. They've done it in other situations, and I think Bob Pearson made such a contribution to our club's history that if it's not appropriate for him, I don't know who it will be appropriate for. So we'll see. But yeah, some lovely tributes online. There's so many. I've not got them all. I've just got one from Merv Payne, actually. I think he sums it up nicely, Neil. He says it's impossible to put Pearson's contribution to the history of Mill Football Club into words. A unique individual who lived and breathed the club with an incredible eye for footballing talent and how to nurture it. R.I.P. Bob Pearson. I think that probably sums it up as best. I can't put any better words than that.
Achtung, Millwall.
Moving along, Neil. Utterly remarkable game on Tuesday night at the Liberty Stadium. Millwall 2, Swansea City 2, Millwall 2, with 2 goals in the dying minutes of added time. I've never seen anything quite like that before. Certainly not from Millwall, that's for sure. After a game that, let's be honest, we didn't deserve to get much out of. We were just talking, Neil, off air, weren't we, about whether that was a good or a bad performance, and it's such a mixed bag. I find it quite hard to assess it as a football match.
Yeah, like last Saturday, they ripped us a new one for the first 15 minutes. It was quite frightening, really, what would actually happen if we actually stopped giving teams a 2-goal head start.
That would be nice. Yeah, that would be nice.
That's what, the 3rd game running that we've let teams go 2 goals up. I think we pulled it back on Saturday, didn't we? And obviously we pulled it back on Tuesday night. But I think the alarm bells have to ring in many respects that we're switching off and we're giving ourselves a mountain to climb. On the plus side, we are actually climbing that mountain by hook or by crook. It was a frustrating evening because you could see that things needed to be changed. And yet again, the reluctance to change things came a little bit too late for my liking. But ultimately, the manager was proved right, I suppose, because we ended up drawing 2-2. Yeah, that's without a shot on target and the expected goals ratio or whatever.
There's a great meme doing around, isn't there, about which team scored 4 goals and didn't win the match, and the opponents didn't put one in the net. 2 own goals, of course, listeners, from Tuesday night. Yeah, I mean, everything you've just said, really, Neil. I mean, you can't discuss this game on Tuesday and previous performances, listeners. We've only just got out of the jail with the game on Saturday against Coventry. We've come back from being behind there, 2 goals behind. We've got to stop giving 2 goals away to the opponents. I mean, this is I don't know. Is it basic? I don't know.
If we give 2 goals away against Norwich, we're going to get buried.
Yeah, we nearly got buried Tuesday, Neil. I'm just looking at I took a few notes during the game. I mean, obviously, we're a goal down inside the first, just over the minute mark, with a poor defence. This is what's bothering me from Tuesday night. We will come back to the good stuff, listeners, because we do want to be fair in our assessment. But there was a lot of problem areas to pick up, and not least, Neil, the starting 11. I mean, apart from Bury coming in up front, that was certainly the same back 5, and they just look disjointed. The players out of form that shouldn't be starting. I didn't name them on Twitter because I don't want to be part of. We'll come back to social media later, listeners. But I don't want to be part of some kind of witch hunt on Twitter. But there are players in that back 4 that are out of form. I mean, Cresswell and Malone leap out. I mean, I'm just looking at the team there, and neither really ought to be starting at the moment. That's making them bad players, Neil, but they're just out of form at the moment. They need a rest. They need dropping. They need to get their heads together.
Yeah, Scott Malone had a poor game on Tuesday, on Saturday. I thought he was slightly lucky to start on Tuesday, and didn't really improve his form there. And Cresswell, well, I don't know what to make of him, actually. Yeah, apparently he was going to be Superman, and goes and he goes and sticks 2 in the first game of the season.
Yeah.
And hasn't looked the same player since, to be quite frank. And that panic seemed to spread across the whole of the back line in the last couple of games, especially on Tuesday night. Murray Wallace, normally Mr. Dependable, didn't have the best game.
Yeah, the mayor. Yeah.
Jake Cooper, another player that I rate very highly, but isn't in any form. Danny McNamara was probably the best of a bad bunch, to be quite honest, and he's been out of sorts, out of touch, whether or not that was the contract or anything else. But it just shows the fragility of our squad, that we've got players badly out of form, and we haven't got very much to come in, because if you were to drop Malone, Murray Wallace, is Murray a wing back? I don't think so. He's a bit too gangly, isn't he, to be a wing back? And
I mean, Malone's a good attacking, when he's on form. Listen, he's a good attacking left-sided player, midfield. He's probably more of an attacker than he is any kind of defender. Murray is a good defender, but he's not any kind of attacker. So we need.
Oh, really? Don't you? You need them rolled into one.
We need the Calmont Road butcher's shop to produce a clone of the two somehow. They'd probably be worth millions if we could. I mean, no, you don't want to be just dropping players, and there's a balance to be struck between showing loyalty and building a team spirit, rather than just like one bad game and you're out. I think maybe Gary Rowett is at the limit of the loyalty side of things. I think Cresswell, I don't know if he's on any kind of must play X number of minutes deal, or whether that's part of it. But we looked a lot better when Hutchinson came into the back line. He came in for was it Cooper he replaced, I think, on Tuesday. I can't remember if
and came off as well, didn't he?
Yeah. So it's defensively we need sorting. Midfield, I think at times we've Shackleton hit the crossbar, but he's looking a little bit like a little lost lamb out there at times. I love Billy Mitchell, but I'm not sure that
a couple of good. Let's be honest.
He could do with a rest, Neil. I think he could do with a rest. Maybe Savills. I don't know what Savills got to do to get a start if he doesn't start tomorrow night at Carrow Road. Honeyman, obviously, I like. I like his industry, and sometimes I think quality wise, he's not going to. He's no Alex Ray quality wise, is he? But he does keep running and keep running, and he reminds me of a Jimmy Abdou in that way. But no, we were on the back foot. I mean, I was just looking at my notes. Obviously, 1-0 down inside 2 minutes, 2-0 down on 12. Again, we're just allowing players. This really bothered me on Tuesday night, Neil. Allowing decent players. Swansea are not a bad side. They're a passing side, possession side. We're giving them time and space to run and shoot. No one challenged them. That's got to change. That can't be. We're not going to get through a whole championship season doing that.
Yeah, no, I think it was the same. It was the same thing on Saturday, wasn't it? We were allowing them far too much time. Nobody got anywhere near the ball, and certainly that second goal was a mistake. Again, if I remember rightly, was it a ball right the way through the middle? I think the first one came banked and across, or was it the other way around? I can't remember.
Let me have a look. What have I written there? First attack, poor defense. This is number one. Poor defence again. Was Wallace at fault?
Yeah, but that's where we headed the ball back across the goal, wasn't it? And the second one, nobody picked the guy up, and then I think he put a ball in between two defenders, did he? And the guy slid in.
He kind of twisted and turned. I got twisted. No pressure on the Swansea City striker. I don't know his name. Twisted and turned. Easy shot. No pressure. It's that. I mean, you're going to come up against good players. You're going to come up against good teams, and they will turn it on against you. But all we can do is bring pressure to bear and get tackles in and make it semi-difficult at least. And we gifted them a 2-goal lead inside. The opening quarter of the game. We were 2-0 down, and they were looking pretty good on it as well.
And I think believe how easy it was. I guess, and
I don't know. There was one ball. I mean, it's basic stuff. There was a ball. I think it was in the second half. In fairness, where Scott Malone was passing the ball across his own penalty area. Or I think it meant to be a clearance, but it was kind of. I didn't do that at Castlecombe Primary School, listeners. I was told don't ever do that again. That's you're giving the ball to the opponent in front of goal. So I don't know what's going on. There seems to be a lack of confidence, self-confidence, cohesion. I don't know what it is, Neil, but no changes at half time. I'm going to come back to the manager for the starting 11. I'm going to come back to the manager for not changing at half time. Possibly wanted to give someone posted online about giving players a chance to redeem themselves. I don't buy that. If you've got 45 minutes, you want 45 minutes with your best possible 11 to start. I don't get this not making change at half, especially on such a poor first 45. We did look a little bit better, but I've still got some good saves from Bart in the early phase. It wasn't really to the substitutions we started to liven it up. Cooper came in for Hutch. There we are. Shackleton for Saville, and Cresswell came out for Ryan Leonard. And from that point onwards, we started to create stuff, chasing a game with in the last quarter 2 goals behind.
Yeah, but what a tackle Ryan Leonard put in.
Game changing, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was when the guy went straight through. You thought, oh God, here we go. And then all of a sudden, he chased him, caught him, and won the ball very cleanly and set us up. That was
a brilliant time. When it was late. We'd actually just got ourselves back what I took to be a consolation goal on 90+2. But I mean, earlier on from that, we've got the subs coming in. We've got handball shouts. The referee. We will come back to refereeing. Well, maybe we'll come to it now. The poor standard of refereeing, because I know they've got the advantage on TV of slow motion replays, but in real time they looked pretty good shouts, and he's standing there in front of them. So I don't entirely buy the kind of the advantage that TV offers, but they look pretty good. One of them or two of them looked good handball shouts to me, and that would have given us more time to play with to get back into the game. Referee was very poor, Neil.
Gavin Ward, I think you could probably count the number of good games he has refereeing Millwall on one finger. Yeah, he's just one of those people that you see his name down refereeing the game 3 or 4 days before.
You wince. Yeah.
It's another Keith Stroud, isn't he? Another referee that you get and you think just isn't going to do the right thing. It reminded me in so many ways of Preston during lockdown when we went up there and we were denied 2 or 3 clear-cut penalties. I mean, punching the ball off somebody's head, clear-cut penalties. I'm not sure if it's an ego thing but he's got an assistant referee there who's a qualified official. Yeah. And certainly if he can't see it, surely his assistant referee must see it. One of them wasn't even blatant. The guy threw himself full length.
Like a goalkeeper's kind of block, wasn't it?
And honestly, sometimes I don't know what you have to do to get a penalty in this league. They're trying to use a bit more common sense. I wish they'd use a bit more common sense on handballs. I'm almost certain that VAR would have overturned those decisions but actually forced the right decision.
That's the eternal debate on VAR, isn't it? I mean, it's interesting. You and me again were just talking off air about the quite remarkable interview with Nigel Pearson. This is nothing to do with Millwall listeners, but Nigel Pearson speaking in the aftermath. I think was it Sheffield Wednesday? Is he managing at Sheffield Wednesday? Bristol City. After their performance, so again refereeing performance, and he's talking about the poor standards of refereeing in the game, which is something which we can relate to big time at the end. But he's actually talking about giving up the game because he finds it that the integrity of the game itself is corrupted, if that's the right term, by these poor decisions. Because as he puts it, his job depends on the incompetent decision making of a referee that shouldn't be out there.
There was a time when you knew that there were egotistical referees around. Graham Poll. Uriah Rennie's another famous one who never gave Millwall a bloody thing. Yeah. You'd like to think that standards have improved. Okay, they're not. I don't think they're full-time. in the Championship, are
I
they?
don't think they are. I think they do other jobs. I think the Premier League are fully pro, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. You have to sign a contract with them. And I think they're semi-pro in the Championship. I think you've got to be...
You've got to pass an X number of qualifications to get there, but you're probably working for a living in...
You've got the top, the select group or whatever they're called. Then I think you've got a group below them and they referee in a Championship. And then I think you've got the ones below them that do the rest of the Football League. But honestly, it's just exasperating that you pay all of this money and one man can't do his job properly. It does border on incompetence, but yeah, I'm not sure what it is with Gavin Ward. Is it small man syndrome?
It certainly was. I mean, just on a side note, I found there's an interesting piece of this Miguel Delaney in the Irish Independent talking about refereeing, and he makes the counterpoint that refereeing in its wider concept has a problem in that very few people want to do it. In his case, he's talking about the abuse and threats of violence and all that kind of thing that you get at I'm guessing Sunday morning and lower league levels of that kind. So who would want to do it? I've never fully come up with an answer to that question because
I did it for 15 odd years in East London.
Did you?
Refereed on a Sunday morning, occasionally on a Saturday afternoon. It was just a way of keeping fit. And I'm not the best footballer in the world. Probably better at cricket than I am anything else. But it was just a way of
being involved. Yeah,
keeping fit or trying to keep fit. And I remember refereeing a team of Africans against a team of Jamaicans on Wanstead Flats. Like man anywhere near it, and it was like World War fucking III. That was an absolutely chaotic morning. I've done a couple of Turkish games on Hackney Marshes, where at least once a kebab house changed on the result. And one Sunday morning, I turned up to Wadham Lodge in Walthamstow.
Yep, I know it. Yeah.
And a certain Terry Hurlock turned up to play in the game I was refereeing.
Oh, blimey.
He was playing for his brother's team, Chingford Sirloin. And, it was kind of, oh, blimey, Terry Hurlock's here. What's he doing? Fucking hell, it's Terry Hurlock! and I believe he kicked a player up in the air at least twice. And I said, Terence, I said, you got to calm down. I'm a Millwall fan. I can't be going with booking. And this kid looked up at me. Oh, sorry, I'm a Rangers fan. It's an honour.
An honour to be kicked by Mr. Hurlock.
Yeah. But no, it was good to be involved, to be quite honest. And but you can see I've done Essex County youth games where I gave a penalty in the last minute and walked off and was spat on by mothers and just
bizarre stuff.
Yeah, you can see why people don't want to do it and why there's a bit of a crisis. But I think that it used to be that once you pass your exam, that was the end of your training.
Right.
So you never got anything more. It was just a question if you went for promotion. I went for promotion once and got it. In no small part to having a deaf assessor, so I booked 9 players, and but this guy thought I had a brilliant game. I once ran a line involving. I turned up to watch a reserve game when I was a journalist, and the linesman didn't turn up. So I ran a game in the full combination.
Okay, right.
Against Tottenham and QPR the year I was going promotion. That was. Eric Torfett was playing in goal and ran out at me saying, do you think I'm a fucking cheat?
Can't possibly comment.
Get back in your goal. You're out your depth, son. You don't know what you're up against here.
I mean, certainly we saw some poor refereeing. I mean, none of these articles change the impact that I think Nigel Pearson is making, that his job and the jobs of others in the industry, but also fans' lives, fans' enjoyment of the game, not lives, but the enjoyment of the game depends on the decisions of people that often are error prone, to say the least. And we saw that.
Knee jerk reaction on Sunday, didn't you, to Anthony Taylor? A guy who I haven't got much time for. I think he's not a particularly good referee. But suddenly have petitions going around. This guy cannot ever referee Chelsea again.
It's a bit different to the Wanstead Flats when
acting like some kind of spoiled mutt.
Achtung, Millwall.
Let's talk about some of the positives from Tuesday night. We've probably dealt with the falling short part of the game, Neil. There was plenty, listeners. You know that if you watched it. On the plus side, I love the introduction of Vogel Sammer. I thought he made a big difference when he came into the game, which was in the 74th minute. He came in for Billy Mitch and made an immediate impact. We suddenly looked like we had a bit of an idea up front, someone willing to do stuff and be involved in the game. It's good to see.
Yeah, it's just a shame it came a little bit too late. I'd quite like to have seen him slung on at half time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
See what he could do. Well, he hit the bar, and I thought he got too much elevation on the ball. But to get the ball on top of the bar from as wide as he was,
that was a brilliant move.
Ability there, isn't it?
If you see it on the, listeners can see it on the YouTube, probably way ahead of us. We're recording this on Thursday, but it was a brilliant chance. I mean, it really took me out my seat when in the moment. I thought, wow, that. But the willingness to take that on is the kind of thing, along with Tyler Bury, was another positive from Tuesday night for me, and his willingness to make runs and take chances and go, dicing with the football gods. That's what we're going to be needing, because we don't have Jed to do it anymore. So we need players willing to take a risk. And I like the look of Vogelsammer.
Hey?
And
who don't we have anymore?
Jed Wallace.
Yeah, who's he?
He's taking me for a lemon, listeners. I thought maybe the line had broken down or something, and I thought, oh god, I'm gonna have to edit this bit out. I might leave it in just because he's such an arse.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think that Tyler Bury's had a very good couple of games. One thing I do want him to cut out is the diving. Please, please, please stop going down like John Marquis in the penalty area, mate. You ain't going to get us anything. And I think he's been booked twice already this
season. Booked Saturday, and he's going to get a name, and that's what you don't want.
And it'll be like Wilfried Zaha down at the Nigels, isn't it? Every time he goes down in the box, even if it's legitimately hacked down, you're
probably not going to get it.
You're not going to get it, but it's just one side of his game that I think somebody ought to tell him that down at Millwall, we're not going to get penalties legitimately, so you definitely ain't going to get one going down. You've
got to be really good. You've got to study at the feet of Dennis Wise to get that right, and Tyler's a long way short on that front before he's going to, get his professorship of the dark arts. 90+1, Tyler clipped it over the bar. Oh, I thought, God, here we are, still 2-0 down, 5 minutes of added time. And I must admit, Neil, at that point, 2-0 down, last 4 minutes, I thought we were all sharpening our knives to, Harry was probably getting his speech ready for Gary Rowett this and Gary Rowett that. But then it all turned around, didn't it, with that own goal?
Yeah, well, I was going to join him, to be quite honest, because I thought that it just showed a tactical ineptitude.
Yeah, I agree.
That he's got this 5 at the back thing, and he will not change it. And you're screaming, "Come on, we're 2-0 down. Just try something a little bit different. Think outside the box." stop being so robotic. And to be honest, I would have joined in with Harry's speech.
I mean, it would have been justified at that point because it had been an appalling performance. We'd livened up a little bit with Vogelsummer and we hit the crossbar twice, but that doesn't give the full picture. The game was adrift at that point. A cross comes in from Danny Mack and it gets touched in by the Swansea City defender from close, 90+2. You think to yourself, really, at that point, Neil, consolation goal, might be a few last minutes, but probably it just puts a bit of a gloss on an otherwise poor performance. But lo and behold, I must admit, when that second goal went in the last dying seconds, I yelped. I don't know what the rest of the close round here made of it, but my wife thought I was having another heart attack downstairs.
Yeah, the neighbours, I had all the windows open because it was hot. One of the neighbours actually came and put their head through the window because I was going that mad.
And again, another own goal. I thought Bury got it, but it was credited as an own goal. It bundled over from
definitely an own goal. It was definitely an own goal. But yeah, no, Plymouth were getting spanked by the spotters, and we're and I'm going absolutely loopy at Millwall were equalising. It glossed over a few things, but I'm a firm believer. You get what you deserve. The ball goes in the opposition net twice, and the ball goes in our net twice. Well, then you get a point because you deserve a point.
Well, you do. We had this conversation, didn't we? It was a mixed bag of a game, listeners. Mostly it wasn't all that good, but then you pull back a 2-goal lead, you force the issue, and give something for those. I don't know how many fans went down there, maybe 200 or 300. I don't know. It was a midweek, difficult game to get to and from, but gives them something to latch onto on that long journey home, Neil. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, well, it makes that journey back to wherever you're going back to from Swansea at 10 o'clock at night. Hell of a lot easier to do, doesn't it? Well, I was all for calling for Gary Rowett to personally write an apology to everybody. Well, I don't go down the refund route, but I thought they owed. They certainly deserved a beer in one of the new bars for going down there, didn't they?
They certainly did, and it's just false. I mean, the videos afterwards of the fans going bananas, the management bench going bananas. Some wonderful. I don't know if one of the little subplots of the night is these disappointed Swansea fan videos you get in the modern kind of social media scene where they've been moaning the fact they've given up a 2-goal lead and how awful it all is and how poor it is. Some wonderful, wonderful videos out there of disappointed Swansea City fans.
Then they wake up. Then they wake up the following morning and they're still in Wales. It doesn't work, really, does it? But it's sorry.
That's all right. We'll leave that in. We're going to have a bit of a...
well, that was an open net, which obviously
slammed the ball into, like Tyler did on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, that's right. Unlike Benicophobia, I don't think he's had a chance in any of the games we've played so far this season, has he? But no. Well, that's another aside. And also, something else that I couldn't get was Millwall fans celebrating outside when the second goal went in.
Well, they left.
Why would you go all of that way? And then I never understand why people leave a ground early.
I don't know.
Yeah, you pay for 90 minutes football. The game of football is 90 minutes long plus your injury time, yeah?
Yeah.
You don't leave a film before the end, do you? You don't leave a concert before the encore. I know people come up with a variety of excuses. There was a guy and his uncle used to sit behind me in the East Stand, and he always used to leave 10 minutes before the end on a Saturday afternoon. I said to him, "What's this about?" "Oh, I've generally got a function to go to."
Function. I always thought it was to get get a seat on the bus or
well, it is or
on the train or whatever. Why you go there in the first place?
Yeah, but I don't want to wait an hour for the train.
Why have you gone there then?
What's the fucking point? Honestly, you do not. It's just something. And then somebody said, "But what happens if you're 6-0 down?" Well, then I'd stay around to abuse them. Yeah,
You never know what you're going to see. I mean, you've paid to watch a sporting event. I get that if the result's way out of touch, then you're not going to see a turnaround. But no, I've never held in with it. I don't understand it. And even at 2-0, I mean, yes, the odds are against you. I mean, I thought the odds were well against us on Tuesday night, but I don't get why in Swansea, well, how much time are you going to save? Are you going to get like an extra out the car park that little bit quicker? I don't know what goes through people's heads. It's weird.
I think somebody had a McDonald's in their hand.
Big deal, you know, because you can't get that after 10 o'clock. Then maybe you can't in Swansea.
Honestly, I don't. Yeah, maybe somebody can explain. Yeah, no, well, people come up with reasons, but maybe somebody could talk me around and why you should. I can't ever recall leaving a game early. Actually, Nick.
I'm trying to think when
there isn't one that I can openly remember leaving a game early.
The only one that springs to mind where I left marginally early was the 2002 playoff against Birmingham when the goal went in from Stern John. I think in the moment, I'd kind of had my ex-partner's boy with me at the time, and I said, "Come on, James, we're going to go make a move." And I think that was just more sheer disappointment rather than any of those kinds of I've got to go and get back to the car. And it was just being downcast. And that's the only time I can remember ever doing that. Otherwise, no. I can't think of any other time I've left a game early off the top of my head anyway.
Yeah, well, I don't understand it. It's just one of those things you pay for 90 minutes football, sit through 90 minutes football. I know there are people that will walk out at half time because it's valuable drinking time.
I don't go to football for a drink, you know.
Yeah, we go to football to watch football, so you watch 90 minutes football. But that's maybe I just look upon things differently. I do know that I look upon things differently to other people, and I know as Millwall fans we often look upon things a lot differently to other people.
Each to their own, but yeah, no, it's I find it quite odd. I mean, certainly in that case, you've missed one of the best comebacks that I can remember in a very, very long time as a Millwall fan. I can't think of many games where we made 2 goals from scratch so late in the game with such little time to play with. So it's noteworthy from that point of view. We've got to stop giving away 2-goal leads, Gary, if you're listening. I hope you are listening. We'll be back after these messages.
Achtung, Millwall.
No One Likes Us Clothing is the clothing range designed by Millwall fans for Millwall fans. Caps, t-shirts, polos, they've got it all. Visit noonelikesus.co.uk for the full range. Or if you're in Bermondsey on a match day, why not have a pint in the Blue Anchor pub and pick up a Nolu polo shirt, Nolu clothing at www.noonelikesus.co.uk. Welcome back to Nick and Neil's Something for the Weekend for a Thursday edition this week. I think of a better title for it than that. Apparently we're not done in the transfer window, Neil. Gary Rowett saying he still wants to add one more player to his squad, presumably another forward. No hint on the London News Online, Richard Corley, no hint as to who that might be, but he's saying he's not done in the transfer market, which is interesting.
Yeah, well, I think he might need to add a left back.
That would be nice, given that Scott Malone does look off the pace at the moment.
Yeah, I think we still need something, don't we? I'm not sure. Is he going to go for a youngster from a Premier League club?
Possible. I don't like it if these Premier League loans. And I've got no evidence to support this, but if they do have you must play X number of games tags to it, because that doesn't give us the choice as to fielding our best team possibly. I'm a little bit worried about Cresswell at the minute, and to some extent Shackleton, I think, has had blown a bit hot and cold. And I don't know if they've got you must play clauses in their contract.
Yeah,
But,
there are contracts like that. Yeah, but I think that Premier League clubs look upon it, well, we're lending you these players for experience, so you've got to mix.
play them.
Yeah, but it's a strange one. If you didn't have that, would you get the standard of player that we're being offered, or that I know that we were looking at Rory Delap's son, weren't we? Liam Delap, is it? Who's just joined his dad at Stoke. There was also somebody called Davis, is it? From Aston Villa, who I think went to Watford. So there are plenty of these strikers knocking around, although you could end up with a Troy Parrott who I think joined us a little bit too early in his career.
Yeah, he's scored. Is he Milton Keynes now? He's playing for. I think I saw him scored a decent goal the other day.
Yeah, no, he scored the other day. He was at Milton Keynes last season.
Right. Preston. Okay. We'll see on this transfer front. I mean, I really like the look of Vogelsammer.
Great.
Interesting once we get some fitness back to Zian Fleming and possibly Tom Bradshaw. I read that they're healing quickly, so let's hope that we can get them back into the mix. And another, let's see who Gary Rowett can come up with. I must say the quality of the deals seems to have been pretty good. I've not seen any real duds that have come in the little bit that we've seen of this season. Some other good news here, just reading on London News listeners, Tyler Bury and Isaac Alofi are part of Gary Rowett's plans. He's not planning to loan either of them out, which is good to hear, especially in Tyler's case. I think he's been one of our few bright sparks of the season so far. So both of those will be given Millwall chances, certainly this side of the January.
To score. I think
that'll be a big moment when he does, Neil.
He comes on and he's got a lot of pace. Okay, I think his first touch at times. Yeah, his first touch is his second touch. I think a couple of times, but you just want the lad to score, don't you? You just want him to get off the mark and get up and running.
I do. Well, get a bit of success, get it going, get the ball, get the thing going for Isaac. I think there's a good player in there.
Yeah, definitely. There is a player in there, and I'm glad we're not going to loan him out. I think we've got to a stage now where we can't keep on loaning him out and expecting him to come back and will he, won't he? This is it now. You've got to, he's 22, 23 or whatever he is, and you've got to see how good he is. And so far, apart from a goal, but then again, you could say the same about Afobe.
Yeah.
He hasn't scored, I don't think, yet this season, has he? So
not yet. No, not yet.
You just want the lad to score a goal, anything, just bounce one in off your knee, just do something. I think everybody's willing him to do well, and we do like seeing our homegrown players do well. And we haven't got the biggest squad in the world, so
no, hang on in there, Isaac. It's good to hear that we're going to keep hold and give him some game time to whatever level, and let's hope for that first goal, because I think that will be the start of something. One of the I've had a few messages over the recent weeks now, since we started doing these something for the weekend show, suggesting that we look at the opponents. In this case, Norwich City on Friday night. I'm not sure I can be bothered. As a preview, I can't be asked for that, can you?
No, well, I'll give us a very simple fact about Norwich. The last time we won up at the Budgie Cage was 11 days before I was born.
1960 something?
1968.
68. Harold Wilson was the Prime Minister. Here's a preview. They won on Tuesday night versus Huddersfield. They played 4-1, drawn 1, lost 2. That's the end of the preview, because it's not really that kind of show, Neil, is it?
No, well, yeah, well, somebody's going to win. Hopefully, it's going to be us. Yeah, you can't get a train back, or can you get a train back?
You're driving it. It's quite a travelling support, but it'll be going by motorised transport.
They've got a load of money from the parachute payments. They've got one or two good players.
We always struggle there. So clearly, since 1968, we've struggled at Carrow Road.
Got a guy called Timo Pukki up front. They used to play at a ground called the Nest, which is one of my favourite ground names ever.
Yeah.
Ramshackled. Apart from that, they all speak funny, and it's a bit of a shithole. What else do you want to know?
I've always found it a very nice club. They're just nice.
Oh, don't, please.
Oh, they are. It's a nice part of the world, and they're nice people. It's not like coming to the Den when you go there, is it? Come on, let's be honest. Let's move along. We've dwelt too long on the opponents. It's not. You don't tune into this show for previews of the opponents, listeners. I'm very, very sorry.
Go elsewhere. They have
Go elsewhere. Just one thing I picked up on the official side, just by the by, listeners, player sponsorships. Do you remember when the old days when we had match day programs, Neil, there always used to be a thing that you could sponsor your player for the year. You pay £300-400 out and you got your name in the program, and I think you got some tickets for the exec club, got a bit of lunch, and you got to shake hands with your boy and get his match ball or shirt or something. They give you something. It's done quite nicely.
A shirt and a frame, didn't they? That cost £1.50 and probably fell apart.
We used to give me a pen, and whenever we used to do it on the fanzine. No one likes us. Occasionally do it, and it was just to get like a Mill pen, which wasn't a bad pen.
They're pushing the boat out then, weren't they?
Well, he'd have that, and there's some really poor stand-up comedian type who'd sing awfully and tell awful jokes and mingle. He did like the I don't know the chap's name. Probably doing him. Probably better not go and say anymore in case I get some feud going or something with someone at the club.
Cancel somebody, and then somebody's trying to cancel the Podmaster. Heaven bloody.
So I haven't done it for years, but it just struck me that they're advertising player sponsorships, and now you can sponsor their third and training kit. You can sponsor everything. But in the absence of a match day program, what's the point? Who knows you've done it? It's at the point of
it'll pop up on the screen, won't it?
Sponsored by maybe.
Yeah, well, it always got me how I think I was watching Millwall and Derby a few years ago, and the substitute was sponsored by, and a corner sponsored by.
It was Dean Wilson used to sponsor our corners, the funeral directors.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go down the obvious route of corner sponsorship. Yeah, no, it just seems that nothing's sacrosanct, and you're right. How do people know that you've
sponsored them? I don't know.
On the big screen when somebody scores,
but it's fleeting. It passes. Maybe you can put it on the side advertising boards. Maybe you can do it, but nothing. It's a funny thing because occasionally when you buy a program or get a program, you'd look at the sponsored names, and you'd sometimes be names that you know or people that you know. Companies that are just regulars year in, year out, wishing whoever, Neil Harris, all the best for the coming season from the Block 3 posse, or I don't know, all this kind of thing, and they become part of your match day routine, your experience. And now we don't have a program. I can't see what the point is in sponsoring a player other than if you want to give Millwall £400, lay out on a big show for yourselves and friends in the exec lounge. It don't work anymore, does it?
No. Curious fact, when I worked on the Crawley Observer many years ago, I sponsored Damien Webber's kit for a season. That was before he joined Millwall. Yeah, we can't blame them for wanting to get some money in.
Absolutely not. But it's just the hook, the point, the purpose.
What recognition do you get? They stopped doing the program, and what do you get? A shout out on Twitter or something like that? I don't know.
There is a link if you want to do it, listeners, and let's not be coy. The more money Mill can get, the better it is for the club generally. There's a link on the website to sponsor your favourite Millwall player. Ain't cheap, but anyway, go find it, seek it out if that's your thing. To close us, Neil, I thought we'd touch upon the fraught world of social media and a very strange, amusing, laughable. What other words can I bring to bear? Pathetic. There was a poll. There's a Twitter account called Millwall Polls. I don't know who runs it, so I'm certainly got no problem with whoever sets up the Mill.
Who runs it? Yeah, it's
Stop me in my tracks. That is. I was trying to be all diplomatic.
absolutely screw diplomatic. We're morally the favourite Millwall fan channel. Yeah, because we're walking away with that result.
Here's the thing, listeners. There was a poll put on there. It was to choose your favourite podcast. I don't like this kind of stuff personally. I'm uncomfortable with it. But anyway, there it was. And you had the choice between us. You had That Millwall Podcast. You had No One Likes Us Talking and Dan's Lions Television, the YouTube channel. And it was running quite normally. I think there'd been about 500 votes. We were leading it. We had about 40-something%. I think Dan had made a surge. Was in the low 30s. He'd kind of come building a nice little total. That Millwall Podcast was below 20%, and the No One Likes Us Talking was down on 5 or 6%.
They were the Green Party of this poll.
It's purely unscientific stuff, as they used to say on Question Time. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, That Millwall Podcast acquired 800 votes in 5 minutes.
Via somebody's credit card, because let's be honest, you didn't know this could happen, but you can actually buy votes for Twitter polls for about.
You can buy votes. You can generate boosters. I remember when we did the Lewisham protest, we needed to maximize the reach of everything we were doing. Everything was designed to try and get as loud a bigger splash as possible on the posts on Twitter, on social media. And there was a thing that I remember that we did was called Thunderclap, which apparently was stopped by Twitter because it was open to abuse, because we kind of abused it ourselves a little bit by getting people to repost. At a certain point, it went as a kind of a global
It's all your fault.
But the intention there, Neil, was to try and do our bit.
Yeah,
do some good. We were trying to keep Millwall Football Club in the den, basically, and oppose Lewisham. In that case, opposing Lewisham and opposing the big money that they were in cahoots with. I felt that was an appropriate thing to do, because to some extent you're distorting, but anyway, there we are, distorting the Twitter market, so to speak. And that was its purpose. But I didn't know that you can go on, there are websites out there, listeners, where if you want to post an advertisement or something on Twitter, you can buy things that boost pay a little sum of money, and it maximizes the numbers that you can get. And that seems to be what happened in the week with this poll, Neil. For what purpose? Why would you do that?
Yeah, well, you can buy followers on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch for about $20 per however many. Well, whoever it was, their ego couldn't take it, could they? They're probably very socially insecure. And they just couldn't take. Their ego just couldn't take whatever position they were going to finish in. We don't know who was behind.
I don't know who done it. I mean, it certainly took the bit of fun part out of it, such as there was. As I say, I began this poll when it was posted by Mill Polls. I found it very uncomfortable to start off with. We were in the lead, and thank you to everyone that voted for us. Because
right, we are the best fan channel out there. Yeah, you've actually got taste. Yeah. Yeah,
the reason we do this, the reason that I started doing this podcast and it's developed in the way that it has over many, many years now, is like the fanzine, listeners, and those might not know that what we used to do a fanzine, but I ask the likes of Neil here and the chaps on all of the shows that we do, everyone that contributes in any way to this show is doing it because of let's speak openly, a love of Millwall. You're here because you want to have your say, but you love the club and you want to promote it. And this show makes a little bit of money. Don't make fortunes. I'm not going to go to the Caribbean on the strength of
sponsor a player.
Well, I mean, you can tell how much money we make, listeners, because we donate the money straight over. As it comes into my bank account, it gets donated straight back out again to the food hub, because that's what I feel is an appropriate charitable cause. I can ask Neil, who works for a living, and Harry and Michael and Mike and Aaron, all the people that contribute to the show, do it because they're doing it for nothing, effectively. I can't take the money and then ask someone else to come in on my show and talk whilst I coin the trouser the revenue. It's got to be done for better purpose than that. So we donate it to these last couple of seasons to charity. We've done others in the past, but now it's the food hub, which I think is a pretty good cause. That's why we do it.
Well, this is the modern podcast. But this is the modern fanzine, isn't it? This is the
it is. Yeah,
producing a fanzine, yeah. And I get involved with Nick because I feel, I'm quite right wing in my thinking and my vote. That will come as
some surprise to a few.
Yeah, but to be honest, I do it because I feel very strongly about food poverty. And I think it's embarrassing that a country such as ours has food poverty. And
I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, I get involved because of the wonderful work that Kelly does and her team do in our local community. Yeah, and these podcasts, this is we're recording this. We started at 10:30, didn't we?
Yep.
On a Thursday. I've got plenty of work to be doing.
Yep.
And the history podcasts that we do, they sometimes take 3 or 4 hours to research half hour's worth of material. And you do it because, there is a bit of ego involved, yeah. But also the overwhelming factor is that we're raising money for a brilliant cause. And
that's why we do it. That's why we'll carry on doing it. I just found it a really weird thing that people can be so fragile in their
insecure is what you mean, yeah.
Or to start
the poll in the first place.
Yeah, and just get a sense of perspective. It just amused me greatly.
Especially as they actually left off a couple of other fan channels. Tony TT.
There's a young boy on YouTube that I saw does some pretty good stuff. Milltube, I think he calls it. If that's where you go, I don't really watch the YouTube stuff, but what we do here is something you can listen to when you're driving, walking, running, gym, going on the train, whatever. It's a longer form thing.
You'll probably crash listening to some of my views, but there you go. And H when he starts on the
within reason, I'm open to listen to anybody. Some people get the certain views of contributors and what they say and what they think, but you want a range. You don't want to be bored. If you're bored listening to the same people, the same things over and over, then the easiest thing in the world is not to listen to the show. But we try and keep it as interesting as we can do, and I hope that's how it will continue for the future. I think we've probably said enough on social media, Neil, don't you?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to say before you leave us?
We'll probably get a couple more phone calls.
I might have to get the libel lawyers on this one.
I don't think there's anything libelous in there, was there? We've only stated some facts, haven't we? Who's behind that account. If you want to hide the fact you're behind that account, stop retweeting bloody one particular podcast. And then, we do know, because there are people that do know who's behind it, and they tell us things. And
I think that we've probably done enough for one day, Neil.
We've done enough damage, haven't I?
I think you probably have, mate. But there we are. Big thank you, Neil Fissler. Thank you for joining and taking time out of your day, mate. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem at all, Nick.
And thank you to you too, dear listener, for listening. Thank you to the 800 people that voted in the poll. All got together in 5 minutes. I'm going to stop. Enough. Arrivederci Millwall.
The Tower Hamlets Council will be in.
Kim Jong-un meets Tower Hamlets and teaches them a lesson. There we are. I'm going to stop there, listeners. Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
You have been listening to Achtung Millwall. Please do leave us a review at Apple Podcasts. Danke schon. Up the lines.